After flourishing for countless centuries, the languages, cultures, and civilizations of the native peoples of North America were almost extinguished by the arriving Europeans. As the 19th century drew to a close and the Indian Wars in the United States were over, both the Canadian and United States governments, in an attempt to civilize and Christianize native Indians, separated Indian children from their families and placed them in institutions called residential schools, where they were systematically stripped of their language, culture, and self-esteem. This practice continued well into the 1950s. These large residential institutions were run primarily by the Catholic and Protestant churches. What these schools did was to produce men and women who despised themselves and their roots. The near destruction of the once strong family system of kinship resulted in the beginning of a variety of social problems that have been perpetuated from generation to generation. Extensive research tells us that alcoholism, drug addiction, family violence, and sexual abuse found within the Native communities have their roots deep in the generations of Native children subjected to the residential school experience. These schools, with shocking consistency from coast to coast, were little more than brutal prisons. Their chief aim was to destroy any vestige of Indian culture, history, and pride. The schools were part of an official government policy set up to deal with the quote-unquote Indian problem. In the words of Duncan Campbell Scott, Canadian Minister of Indian Affairs from 1914 to 1932, quote, "Within 2 generations, there will be no Indian problem because there will be no Indians." As we shall see, the memory of these schools among Native people almost always produces strong emotions: pain, anger, loss, and bitterness. There is not one Native Indian in North America who has not been affected, either directly or indirectly, by the cultural genocide played out in the residential school experience.
The first time I went to a boarding school, my mom took me for an outing in the afternoon, and then I never went back home. And I kept thinking there's been a terrible mistake made and somebody's going to come back and collect me up. And when my mom and dad find out what you're doing, they're going to be really mad.
They seem to be mean, the strappings that we got. And there was one time I said something in our own language, and I had to walk around with a block in my mouth, like it's wide open. And that's the one thing I never forget.
And they had a funny kind of cereal there that had these little brown things in there or something or other. One of those mush types. I don't know what it was. But I remember throwing it up. Like I couldn't hold it in my stomach. I threw it up and they made me eat it again. And that was gross.
The violation of having to take showers with anywhere from 20 to 30 other young men, and have the house mother stand down there taking pictures of us while we were totally naked. Just the violation, totally violated. Never no privacy.
Recently, Native Indians from British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Alaska, Arizona, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and Washington State came to the Alkali Lake Indian Reserve in British Columbia to attend a very special gathering. Planned by the New Directions trainings at Alkali Lake and the Four Worlds Development Project, the gathering was an opportunity for people to begin the process of healing the hurts and shame of the residential school experience. Phil Lane Jr., a Yankton Sioux and Chickasaw, and director of the Four Worlds Development Project, conducted a 4-day workshop and guided us through the bittersweet experience of the healing process.
Tunkashla, our beloved grandfather. As you know, for the past 100 years, our people have been carrying with them every day the hurt and shame and sadness that has come upon our people through many things, And one of those things we know is the residential schools and boarding schools across North America, in which so many little children entered with a pure heart and left with a broken spirit. We realize that all that comes in life comes from the Creator, and we want to come to an understanding of what the meaning of this experience has been for us, and how can we use it as a strength instead of something that's causing great hurt to us. So on behalf of all of us, we want to offer this tobacco to you and to our koa Fred here, that you can help us in this next 4 days to face into the heart of darkness and sadness and grief, anger and rage that we carry within our hearts, and begin the process to completely free ourselves, that throughout this time you might be with us in great prayer and in love for all of us. How?
We prepared ourselves for the coming 4-day workshop with a sweat lodge ceremony conducted by Albert Lightning. The sweat lodge, a place of prayer, bonding, and spiritual rebirth, was used every day of the conference as our spiritual foundation.
Very, very thankful to the Creator that we've been able to come to this day to be able to do what we're going to do here at this workshop. And I really want to thank the Alcoholic Band, Chief and Council and community, as well as New Directions, for having the vision and insight to see that time had come for us to face directly into the heart of this darkness of residential schools and boarding schools that has so affected our people for over 100 years in North America. So we can face that hurt, resolve that hurt, do our grieving and whatever else we need to do so we can leave it behind and take all the power of the suffering and transform that into something that's going to bring nothing but unity and love and harmony between all our people. Healing is a process, not an event. And that's one thing I'll say over and over again. Healing is a lifelong process. It's not an event. I mean, every time I used to go to something, I always figured that would be it. I'm going to go, and this time it's going to be it. You know, I guess I wanted to, all of a sudden be healed or something, but it just never has been yet. So each workshop, from my understanding, is like a ceremony, and each ceremony is different. We're the only ones that we can really heal. And through healing our own self, in bringing ourselves to a greater and greater state of consciousness in the Creator's love, that very presence or consciousness transforms everything around us in the world. But it means that we transform ourselves. And what I'd like to do at this time is just share briefly the overall process of the workshop. As the leaders of the group, of course, the degree you're willing to share what's in your heart, and the degree you're willing to have the courage to look in there and see what it is you're carrying around and let go of it, is the degree the group is usually going to do it. That you really are those leaders. And the purpose of those support groups is so that people can share whatever's in their hearts that needs to be shared. So these aren't anywhere directed. Anybody can say what they need to say.
The real me stopped growing it when I was 5 or 6 years old, when they pulled me away from my father.
Keeps coming back to that one thing, being brought to the mission. Left. And my grandmother coming, she said, "Come to visit you, I brought you some stuff." I looked at her and I said, "I want to go. I want to go home."
I feel good to be able to share some of the things I experienced in a boarding school, which to me was like a concentration camp to me.
So this evening when we come together, what I'd like to be able to do is have opening prayers. And then I'd like to bring each person up to the front and introduce them to the group. Their name, where they're from, and why they're here. And the fourth thing is we're going to negotiate between us a kinship relationship. When we're able to make everybody we know, a brother or sister, a mother or father, an aunt or uncle, a grandfather or a grandmother, a grandson or granddaughter, a niece or a nephew, then we'll know exactly how to treat them. One of the exercises, by the way, is we get a chance to walk down Williams Lake holding hands, the two of us. That's how we're going to get over our embarrassment.
Well, that's better than the skirts I've been wearing.
And your name is?
My name is Al Williams, and I'm from Cake, Alaska. My reason for being here is twofold. One is I, too, am a product of the boarding school, residential school. A lot of it is that I know some of my behaviors and I want to change them.
Spit before you go down, so you can just kind of get used to everybody. I want you to play like you're in a big parade. Right. And everything, they can see everything. In fact, you're in the parade and all you have on are your shorts. Give him one of these. In our relationship,
Brother to brother.
Brother to brother. Now, I always tell the ones I have to get, they're kind of ones that are kind of like this. And your name is?
My real name is Hayus Chisapshil. I just recently got that name 2 weeks ago. Apparently, one of my ancestors from Clydewood First Nations used to get 10 whales a year, and that's what it means. He pulled 10 whales up the beach every year. Hayus Chisapshil. My nickname is Jerry. I'm just looking forward to this. Really looking forward to this workshop this week. Hawksuna, all my relations.
Hi. Your name is?
My name is Percy Tuesday. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
My name is Ivy Chelsea. I guess I'm just meant to be here. I feel a lot of fear, but it's a healthy fear, if we can say that. It's a healthy fear.
Hi, my name is Phyllis.
And your name is?
Phil Lane.
Good, I'm Andy Chelsea. Glad to meet you. For Andy, what would you like for Andy this week?
To find out why my culture seemed to be in the way when I went to school at the mission. Why was it wrong for me to be Indian?
I'm Ed Halston. I'm from Chicago, and I don't know, got a lot of mixed feelings as I'm here. I know why I came, but I'm not sure that's why I'm here.
And your name is?
My name is Louie Fady, and what am I? I'm a product of residential schools, so I have a difficulty even saying where am I from. Canada-born Alaska Native, I'm an Aleut.
My name is Margaret. I am originally from Dog Creek, moved to Alkali, and lived everywhere else just about, so I am another product of residential schools. And hopefully, through this workshop, I will find a home within myself.
My name is Kelly. My nickname. But anyway, I'm glad that we're given permission to bust loose in our circle here, so I think that's what I really need to do, to release a lot of that anger that I have within me.
My name is Phil Lucas, and I thought that I'd come to Alkali Lake to make this film.
But that's not why I came here. Through a series of events in the last few days and few weeks, and a dream, I've come to realize that I really need to open and explore some rooms in my house inside me. I have 5 children. I need to do that because I need to be able to break through those barriers for their sake, and as well as for mine.
My name is Rod, and I'm from originally from Canoe Lake, Saskatchewan.
Oh, great.
and I'm working at Bonneville right now
Uh-huh.
as an addictions counselor.
Great.
And I'd like to know, when did you guys start this?
We started just about 40 minutes ago.
Oh. See, I drove in and I was driving by this house and these people were waving and I thought that was the place to go in. So I went in there and I was sitting around and they were coming around in a circle and they were talking. They were at an AA meeting. It was a good mistake.
We're born with an open mind. That is, we're ready to accept anything around us. And we'll call this our memory here. We have our life experiences. So what happens? An experience happens, and when we're feeling good, when we're feeling happy, we take that experience in this incredible system we have, we take it, we break it up, and we integrate it into similar experiences. Now, there's natural healing processes that we utilize when we're not hurting. Our native games provided a place to get out hurts too, to deal with our feelings. So we're continually in a healing process, and built into the culture were all kinds of ways to heal ourselves. The residential schools played such an important role in stopping and destroying the healing processes in the kinship systems that gave us our fundamental strength. Our traditional tribal philosophies, and I haven't found one that in one way or the other didn't believe this, recognized that part of being a human being and part of life was making mistakes. And the mistakes were just as sacred, just as wonderful, in a way, as the victories. Because both of them were teaching us about life, and life is sacred. Therefore, if both of these taught us about life, they're sacred. But what happened in the residential schools, the boarding schools? Did we were we given the sacred teaching that all of life and everything that comes to us is a gift from the Creator for our own growth and development? No. We were taught that we were bad. We were evil. Because our behavior was associated with us as human beings. They just didn't say this behavior needs to change. There's something wrong with you, and that strap would be used. The hurt's there, but the hurt's never gone, so it just builds up, obviously, because there's no process to get rid of it. And so we begin carrying around this stuff. Well, as this happens, what do you think happens to our energy as we carry more and more of this hurt? Is the energy gone, or is the energy being used to keep in the hurt? Huh? Yeah, we're keeping the hurt in. We're keeping it down. All that energy's in there. To hold that hurt in there. So that we won't blow up. We've learned to defend ourselves. And the primary way we've learned to defend ourselves is by keeping the hurt in, by never letting anybody see how we really feel. For me, accepting love and affection is very difficult. Because my mother just could not express physical love and affection because of what she'd gone through. My grandmother was the same way, because they'd gone through this thing that they were taught love and affection. There's something wrong with it. It's evil. And I imagine it's because of the centuries and centuries that many European people were taught not to show their feelings, and they're carrying this cesspool around with them about everything being evil and awful and so forth, and the cesspool was turned on to the native people, and we're equally in it now. We're all together in this thing now. It doesn't make any difference where you're from. So the process, as I see it, we want to just kind of dig into today, the next day, at your own pace now. Each of you know your own pace. Is just getting rid of this. At the same time, we're going to have spiritual activities, because just getting rid of it and emoting is not enough. Just letting the emotions go. We also have to rebuild that and take that energy. We're going to recover energy. We're going to recover our power. Now we've got to take and connect that power to something that's good for us. It's going to help us. How does this fit? Make sense?
I wasn't raised in a residential school.
Same process works.
But I just found out where where I'm at with the way that I was raised, and the reasons as to why my parents raised me the way they did and where they got that from. Like, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. Like, me and my dad don't talk, eh? We don't really heart to heart. It's just all surface. And the way that he treats me is everything that I've learned from him, I learned it through observation. And I asked my mom, how come my dad is like that? Like, how come there's no any kind of appraisals or anything like that? Like, there's no praise, nothing. And she said that's the way his stepfather raised him. And I didn't know also that it had to do with residential schools.
Sure. So before we break into the support groups, what I'd like to do is there one or two people that I could work with that feel like they're willing to work with me a little bit? Or we may laugh, we may cry, we may use some anger. Come on. Where'd you go to residential school?
I went to Haines House in Haines, Alaska. It was a boarding school for 100 children from all over Alaska, run by the Board of National Missions of the Presbyterian Church. It took us from Cake to Haines on the fishing boat. We got into Haines in the middle of the night. I was 7 years old and my brother was 4. They were trying to separate us in this hallway. I can remember him just hanging on to me. It was the first time him and I had ever been separated, physically separated. Just wanted to hold him.
Anybody here reminds you of that brother?
Mike?
Come on up, Mike. Now here's these two little boys. Remember how it was when you guys were being ripped apart? Were you both crying at the time?
Yeah. I was scared.
He was crying and
He was crying and they were pulling on me and he was hanging on me and I'm hanging on to him.
Just turn and face each other. And I want you to be able to go back, just take a minute. Just take a minute. And go to that place where you can see that the deep, deep love. You never just, and I want you to be able to see your very beloved brother here and be able to express from here. Even if it's tears or a cry, whatever it is, if it's laughter, whatever it is that you need to say to him all these years that you haven't said, because he'll be able to hear you. Through that everywhere spirit, he'll hear you. Just go ahead.
I've always wanted to say how much I've loved you. I felt like so helpless. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I felt so bad when Gilly left. I wanted to run and I couldn't let go. I just... God, I hurt so much. I can't.
Let the cry come. Let the sound come. Open your mouth. Like that wolf. On his brother after all these years.
Oh, God.
Talk a little bit more about it before we go on. Did you ever stuff your mouth full of anything? What was that?
Gagged.
Huh?
I was gagged.
You were gagged. Tell a little bit about how they did that. They gagged this little boy. How old were you?
8 years old.
8 years old.
Two of my buddies, roommates, and I was telling them stories. Took me into her cubicle. I was tied to the chair. Gagged. My mouth was stuffed. One time with different things. Sometimes it was a towel, whatever was handy.
They did it more than once then?
Yes.
Phil asked Ed Halston to stand in as a symbol of the power structure that had hurt Al as a little boy. Mike and I also came forward to help.
God damn it, Edward!
Tell it.
God damn, all I ever wanted to do.
Right at it. Son of a bitch.
Oh, God. Oh, 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 God. Oh, oh. Oh,
Now I asked him permission before. I said, is it all right for him to come over? You know, sometimes if it's not right, then we don't do it. You understand? Because he's still in that space. Good, thanks. How'd that feel?
Sweaty.
Not into that. One thing I'd like you to be able to do is some cardboard boxes. We're going to absolutely destroy that system. That boarding school system. I mean destroy it, rip it, crush it, and completely get it out of your life and all that's done to it. And I want you to look around at each of these brothers and sisters who are with you. Every one of them. Look in and deep of them. Look inside them. See what they're carrying there with them. You know you were saying you look down? This time we'll look up. You don't have to look down to anybody anymore in your life. Let's do what would you like to proclaim to the entire universe, to everywhere spirit, where you're at and your people are at.
I'm sweet, I guess, with what I was saying this morning.
I'm sweet. Beautiful, complete contradiction. I'm sweet.
I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet!
Don't tie yourself. I want you to take charge by yourself this time. I'm going to be back over here. This time, your power is going to come out. Just as a beautiful creation of the Creator. And when you're ready now, you let it come to and let it roar up out of there. And as you're getting ready, look right up at me. That makes it different. I'm going to have to look down at you.
I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet! I'm sweet!
We'll have a break for the evening meal, and then we're going to come back and do some meditation, some chanting, have some songs. I'd like to share the time I'm here a very simple yoga series that I've learned every day that can really enhance. And the message is, it doesn't make any difference what you use. But if we're going to keep the spirit going, we need to find a process, some way, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually every day to reconnect with that power. And this is one way, and it's real effective, and it's real. And the other thing about it is, it'll help people to get out of that hurt spot. And the main thing is, we want to have a nice sleep.
Push out those hurtful boarding school experiences, bring in the good. What's the highlight for you today?
Well, I guess more questions and
put it in one question.
Well, you chose me, and probably wisely, because I think I represent a lot of the other side of that conflict. And from all that I know, I have to say that I think most of the people who inflicted all this pain wanted to do good when they began. Why is it that people who went out meaning to do good did such terrible evil?
Learning for you today.
Learning for me today, that I guess my surprise is my reluctance to grow. I want to stagnate. But I don't want to stagnate. I want to grow, but I'm scared.
I've been researching the residential schools for 3 years. We've been trying to put a project together on the impact of residential schools. I knew that there was something there because of my father, because, you know, I don't think until we actually came here, the depth of what it is we're talking about had really ever hit me, you know? I mean, I'm the researcher, right? I'm the guy that's out there looking at this stuff impassionately, right? But there's no way you can't do that, you know? It has affected me so deeply because I know this is real. And I know that this is at the heart of what we're dealing with as Native people. This is the root of all of the hurt, the root of all the alcoholism, all the drug addiction, all the abuses that we have. This is the root of it. And just as we know that adult children of alcoholics suffer from the effect of the alcoholic. We know all this stuff is scientifically proven. We have generations, 5, 6 generations of our people, and we're suffering from this thing called the residential school. And if we don't break the cycle, we're not going to regain our power. And what I see here is that if we can give that spark of possibility to our peoples, if there's a possibility, if you can see hope, if you can see an alternative to what it is that's going on, it will move people to change, to change the face of the earth.
Our purpose here is not to hurt anybody or anything. Rather, our purpose here is to completely free ourselves from the hurt and shame that binds us so we can go on to the incredible potentialities and vision of the future. It's a day-by-day process of getting that out. Because until we cleanse our own heart and mind of this hurt that we've gone through, how can we really see what true reality is about? You know, it's like we've almost got like some covering on our lens of our soul. So we've got to clean the mirror of our soul so it can reflect the divine reality of the Creator. And I think the more we're able to reflect that divine reality, of course, the less and less need we have for things outside of us give us happiness. And then we ourselves become a reflection of the Creator's love. My brother, if you're ready, do a little work. My brother here. The reason I say you kind of look like you stripped down for action. Maybe just to talk a little bit about, just begin talking about some of these feelings that you've had to carry with you and what's happening down here. Just talk to it a little bit.
And I guess the strappings that I got and the beatings to this day, I don't know what they were for. Especially this one beating up in a dormitory by Brother Samson, throwing me around. I still try to figure it out today why. It was the most painful thing. I think that's one thing that keeps flashing in my mind about God, how I really don't know why. Why was I getting thrown around by Brother Samson, why? Why I never done nothing? I just got out of bed and first thing you know, I was getting thrown around.
Phil called Father Frank Salmon up to the front to stand in as a symbol of the church for Jerry.
I was brought up by my grandparents and my mother to love no matter what people done to me. I always got to think of every way I'm going to make that person happy when they're coming towards me. And it was hard, especially when I see Frank saying Mass or having a service at the funeral, I get mad. And I'm supposed to say, I'm sorry to you guys for hating you. I'm supposed to say, I'm sorry. How can I say I'm sorry when they haven't made any amendments to me and the people at home that are suffering from the things that we had to go through? Why? I'm going to call my grandfather to be with me. I need strength. Supposed to say I'm sorry. Why? I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. My age was there for a reason. Hey. Hey, my brother Frank.
I guess one of the questions I have is that why does it have to hurt so much to be a child for getting beat up for nothing? For not knowing what you've done. When I hurt today, it doesn't matter to me. I know what to do with that. I know where to put that. And it's all inside here. The things that I went through growing up as a kid, not being allowed to feel pain, not being allowed to cry, I feel very angry towards the people that have started all this. Telling myself that residential school had no effect on me, and finding out from you people that the pain that you're feeling is so similar to what I'm going through at home.
I knew happiness, I knew love, I knew companionship when I was really small. I could speak my own language, and that was all taken away from me when I went to residential school. I just want to be accepted, that's all. Just want to be, for me, for women. And the fear that's really deep within me is the fear of rejection. Sometimes I get really scared to get close to people because I'm scared of being rejected. And I guess it's those feelings, those thoughts of being sent off to residential school.
You've gotten a chance here to see some of the pain and hurt in the people. They'll give you a chance to kind of express how you're feeling here.
But I know those people who came over in the beginning, came with good intentions. All kinds of erroneous ideas, I know. And I don't understand how someone could be punished for speaking their own language. People who have their hair cut off for working on Sunday. There's so much of it. It hurts me when I see people who have suffered all the oppression and then don't have anything out of it except pain.
We have to remove what's in between. We've gotten between the love and the so started out to be the source of goodness and become more of oppression. I guess we all got a big job to do.
Yeah, thank you.
It seems like this is a good place. I want to be able to work a little bit with some of the joy and happiness we have inside. So I'm going to ask my younger sister to come.
Having been hurt by men who had been hurt by the system, Margaret had shared her mistrust of men during a group session.
Trust me. I promise. You trust me. Everything will be fun. Everything will be fun. Please trust me. Oh, some other woman didn't mean a thing to me. In the name of God, please trust me just one more time. Just one more time, please. I think that's a picture of the joy and happiness and goal that this workshop's all about. Is completely be able to free ourselves until we can begin seeing the humor in some of this stuff. I just want to talk a little bit about how the residential schools and boarding schools across North America are directly related to the whole colonial process. The boarding school system in England, of which a lot of our residential school systems and boarding school systems were set up on. And these boarding schools in England became the training grounds for the colonial administrators of the British Empire. And what happened clear back from the very beginning of these boarding schools, and this is hundreds of years ago, children are brought in there at 5 years old, taken from their families, and sent by their families to these places. Now, something interesting happens there. There is actually a tradition where the older boys are encouraged to mistreat the younger boys, to put them down, to humiliate them. You're shaking your head. You know about this, right?
My bitterest experience with it, or more closest experience, is OCS, the Oscar Candidate School, where for 18 weeks you were the flunky, and everybody got vicious delight, all the senior candidates, out of having you do all kinds of push-ups and running around and dehumiliating stuff. And then for 4 weeks, you were a senior candidate, and you got your chance to do that to everybody else. I mean, those systems are everywhere.
And I think the thing to remember is, that really helped me is, no one's born to be an oppressor. They're trained that way. Now, this system, of course, you can see how it was transferred here. And in essence, provided the foundation for the residential school process here. And in fact, as the kinship system, the family system, the extended family system began to collapse, you see, through generation after generation of residential schools, then in fact, we became more and more our own oppressors. They didn't need very many people to oppress us because we're oppressing our own self. And after generations of generations and generations, that training's still going on. And I think that's the thing we need to interrupt. Now, how was it for you growing up?
Mobile.
Not smart answers.
Mobile.
Not covering answers. Get down to it.
Mobile karma.
Oh. What I'm saying is,
yeah, okay.
that's one of your,
yeah.
that's one of, you know, that's one of your control patterns, is to give a smart answer.
Then move on.
Yeah, and move on.
Yeah.
And give a smart answer. So this time I'm going to really, let's take a journey in this. So the people you serve will have all of you. All right? How was it?
Kind of lonesome.
Yeah?
Very lonesome.
Get off my back. You use that expression clear from the time you're younger, and get off my back, get off my back. You know, I've heard it connected to experiences all of your life. So it's packed, that feeling, get off my back, has got a lot of emotion to it. I want you to say, get off my back. And as you do, start. And don't worry about anybody, anything I want you to do. Just get off my back. And when it comes, let it come. Let it come till it's done. And we'll take care of you. You're not going to be abandoned. Even if you pass out here, if you, whatever, you're not going to be abandoned. So you can relax. You don't have to be out there to have to fix people or do anything, and just take care of yourself and let that beautiful, loving soul of yours. So get off my back when you're ready.
Get off my back! 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 Put me on the back.
Hit on my back. Hit on my back. Hit on my back. Hit on my back. There you go. Hit on my back. Hit on my back. You need to hit on my back. Stamp your feet. Sorry. There you go. There it comes. There we go, elder sister.
Red.
Yeah, that's red. I know it's red.
So much blood.
There it comes. You're not going to be abandoned. Hang on. And she told me about her pattern. She says, I say something and run. That's the reason I grabbed her. The way she keeps from not getting into her pain is running. What did she see in there?
Blood.
Blood. Where's the blood from?
It's from me when they sterilized me.
Uh-huh. There it comes. They sterilized you in one of their sterile hospitals?
No, in the home.
In the home. They sterilized you in the home? Is that whole process they went through there where they were sterilizing the children?
12.
12 years old.
Somebody from behind me started holding my arms behind me. And then the rest of them came around and they lifted me up on a table and there was men and women there.
Can you remember what they used?
I don't know what they used. It was metal.
Metal, some kind of piece of metal? So they stuck that inside you, and did they give you anything for the pain?
No. And then they kept me tied up at that table, tied up to the table afterwards. About 3 days. Until the bleeding quit. And then they sent me back to class. And I always had trouble with my periods.
I can understand that. I had trouble with mine too.
I never explained that to the doctor.
And I also want to say that there's many different ways to deal with anger. Because of the time we had, because of the intensity we had and so forth, we dealt head on with some of these issues and other ways that we could also deal with them. There's other ways to deal with them. The prophecies have said very clearly from all our tribes that after a great wintertime, there would come a great springtime. And in this great springtime, all that we've gone through would be revealed, so to speak, as a preparation for the healing work we have to do in the world. What do we need to solve the problems in Israel between the Arabs and the Jewish people? What do we need to solve it between the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland? What do we need to solve the problem between the people in Southeast Asia? What's the basic spiritual quality they need? Without it, they can't go ahead.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. But who can teach forgiveness unless you have had things done to you that were totally unjust? How can you learn what forgiveness is about unless somebody does something you don't deserve? There's only one person that can teach the person with the whip what love's about, and that's the person who's being whipped. Now that's a pretty hard one to accept and surrender to. And I'm not saying, by the way, that we stuff the feelings. We have to deal with the feelings. Okay, this process will go on for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now Wednesday afternoon, after the topic groups, outside we want to build a fire, make a little fire pit out there someplace, a nice place. And Tuesday night, part of the process, or Tuesday during the day, and Wednesday, whenever people want, we'd like people to start writing down, and I'm sure other people do this process, but to write down the junk, the sickness they want to leave behind here. I mean, the things that they want the fire of the love of the Creator to burn away out of our hearts so we can reveal our true reality, which is spiritual.
At various times during the 4-day conference, we all managed, one way or another, to work on ourselves, on our unresolved anger, shame, and internalized depression. Both the survivors of residential schools and the adult children of survivors looked deep into the heart of that darkness, and we came away from it forever changed. Ironically, Ivy Chelsea, who at age 7 had inspired her parents to sobriety and in turn the entire Alkali Lake Indian Band, once again opened a door for us, this time to the power of the healing process.
What do young people need from their mom and dad? Still got mom and dad that are alive. What do you need from them?
Well, we're supposed to say I love you every day, and we don't do that.
I love you.
I love you too.
Let it go, Ivy. As she works through her thing, what probably all she needs for her healing is just to be able to say in her ear, I love you, as many times as you can. She's giving you kind of, that's the word for her that'll help bring it up, you know. And yet it's the one that's so difficult, you know, for us. We've been so hurt that way, you know, to our children. All of us have in one way or the other found different ways that, you know, maybe we've worked through it or whatever. Now, how are people feeling out there? How are you doing? You got a lot of feelings up? Yeah.
Some my daughter, but I never took the time myself to tell her that.
When I heard Ivy say I want to hear I love you from you guys, I know what my kids want from me, and I want to be able to do that to them.
Unconditional love.
For me, I know that a lot of times my anger now comes from the mission and how brother and sister is telling me, you do this, you do that, this is good for you. And that's how I felt about the trainings and anything that you have to do with you people. And I was just angry and I didn't know why. And naturally, I heard someone sit there. But before they got to me, I got to you, like, say bad things about you. And say you're no good and all this. That you're just doing this for money or something. It's not you that I was mad at. It's just the hurt that was put there a long time ago. And I just like to apologize and say I'm sorry and I'm really proud of you guys. And you too. Now you can take care. I'm sorry for all my bad thoughts toward you. Okay.
This is what this is all about. As we remove the structure that separated us, this same thing can happen in every Native community across the country.
The last day of the conference was the time for rebuilding, for reflection, for coming to terms with the enormity of the commitment we all made to break the cycle of hurt and shame, to forgive, to regain our lost powers. These words from a Haudenosaunee elder pretty well sum it up. We have to sit down and speak the truth to each other and make a peace amongst each other. That peace will bring unity, and with unity there is strength. And with the strength of unity, we will have the love and respect to walk in harmony with all life.